Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Hodgins and I am a choreographer, adjudicator, teacher, producer, competition owner. I wear a lot of hats like so many of you. And like you, I've called the competitive dance scene home, both professionally and personally, for close to 25 years now. While I have seen the transformative power competitive dance can have on a dancer, I was one myself. I've also seen a lot of the safety gaps, a lot of fairness issues, a lot of the things that we talk about behind closed doors or in the car on the way home from an event with little hope to actually do anything or make some positive change. With that in mind, I want to ask you all a very important question. Why do you think dance, arguably one of the most challenging of the major youth activities, is the last one to verify and organize its competitors? It's a pretty basic standard to actually verify the data of a competitor at an event. Cheerleading, gymnastics, hockey, swimming, lacrosse, they all have federations, associations, and registries to protect their competitors both online and in person, and to validate their commitment and their hard work with a verified record. But why not dance? I'm not here to prove or disprove that dance is a sport. That's not the debate. But we all know that dance is athletic. So what's holding us back from building a supportive registry or an association, one that protects and supports each level of the competitive dance experience through impartial software over governance? That's where the ICDR comes in. An impartial verification system that unlocks unique participant IDs that can follow them anywhere they choose to go.
And talking more about sort of like the technology involved with that in competitive dance. So you're introducing obviously technology and software into a very traditional industry, I would say. Dance, is just like, it's an art, right? But there's definitely still applications for technology in that. So how do you get these studios and event providers that you're talking to adopt something like, so I guess like technological like this?
Yeah, that's another great question. I would be nowhere if it wasn't for my networks, if it wasn't for my people that I can call on to understand what their pain points are and how impartial software can solve collective pain points. This has been years in the making. There have been so many attempts to develop coalitions, safety councils, non-for-profits that dry up because everyone's burnt out, Prisha. Like everyone's too tired to sit on boards. They're too focused on, their competition or their clientele. This is a service that's done for them. Literally anyone can integrate with the ICDR and have that identity layer on their business in terms of a provider, and it really does bring the structure I think we've always been waiting for, but we just didn't have available until now.
Awesome. And I'm talking more about sort of like the future, because also like AI is a big thing, especially like with dance, like should it be implemented, should it not be implemented? But what is one piece of technology that you think dancers should expect to see in competitive dance or just in dance in the future, whether that's like AI, just like anything along those lines?
I mean, AI is definitely making its way into some of the flows, operations, I should say. Like, we might see an AI, I guess it's not a person, just AI replace a human body behind a camera, right? So we're losing that human filter, right? What if something happens on stage, a costume malfunction? What if someone, deer in headlights moment and they just are scarred, right? And something happens, they run off stage. That is maybe warrant enough to actually have that human filter to say, I gotta hold this routine, or, maybe don't upload that to the media system, the distribution. We have to be careful with when we're putting AI, replacing that human filter, we're losing that sensibility, right? So that is going to make its way. I even know of AI services that parents can employ. So if your dancer didn't hit their full split, they can get you into the oversplit. So they take the image and they oversplit it, and then all of a sudden the dancer is borderline lying about their skill set, right? And they use it on social media, and So that's making its way into dance, whether we want to admit it or not. But one thing that's really an interesting technology that we are leveraging for all of its power, and people have seen it in banks, they've seen it when they're applying for clear, or when they're going through airports, or even verification on credit cards. It's biometric verification, so that we can prove through government issue photo ID that Jamie Hodgins, is actually in fact on the computer in real time, because we photo verified using government issue photo ID, right? That biometric matching is making its way into every industry. So I think dancers can expect to see that. And that's what ICDR is doing. That's part of the verification process. We're not asking our dancers to provide a birth certificate, but we're certainly asking their parents to provide government issue photo ID. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love how it's just kind of like all, like coming together with just ID. So kind of switching gears to from ICDR, talking more about like you and sort of how you and your team have started and like built like this like technology and are continuing to build this technology and improve it. So like you've performed, you've judged, choreographed. So what skill from that, like from like your dance career, are you really like using most as a founder and someone who is trying to like lead this big like change in dance?
It's the same skill you need everywhere. Kindness. Absolutely. Listen to people, don't push your opinions on other people. What do they have to say? It kind of goes back to what I was saying before. ICDR was not built by one person. I have one level of experience, definitely worn a lot of hats in my career, but I've really depended on my team. My CTO, Bryce Hunter, is a genius. He understands. He's a parent of 3. His son just started dancing. And it's important to him. Privacy protection is important to him, right? So I think kindness has really led me to call on these people that care about their clientele, right? And it's the same way as, if you're really kind in one gig, that's just going to get you the next one. If you're the difficult dancer that is complaining or isn't on their phone or is not fully engaged and not listening to your colleagues and treating them with respect, that's the real success of ICDR, because we're asking everyone to work together. We're uniting the divided, under the banner of what's overdue for our industry and privacy protection, most importantly, safety. But my goal, and I think you understand it, is that ID number. I want a dancer to have that ID number. It's going to feel wonderful when they have it, because it will honor them wherever they go. But I do have a long way to go to align everybody, but we're getting there, and it's just really inspiring to see people seeing the value of a custom built approach to structure in our industry.
That's awesome. And sort of like through this like journey that you've been on as you're growing ICDR and continuing to do that, what's like a failure or a near failure that has really like changed your approach or perspective in terms of leadership?
Okay. Well, Jerome Bob, I'm just going to be honest. I've never said this out loud. Actually, I've told him. I saw Jerome Bob as a competitor. Like he owns a competition. I produce events. I wanted a competition at one time. I have more of a video capture service. Anyway, that's not important. But Jerome and I was afraid to approach him. I was intimidated. And when I finally did, all of my assumptions and my fear and my anxiety about who that person was because of his position in the industry was subsided. Like, he's just a cool guy. We built so much rapport, and he really believes in this and wanted to do this, through Fever years ago and have ID numbers. He's like, oh my gosh, Jamie, you beat me to it. And that's why we see each other so much as competitors, when we really can learn from each other, and there's wonderful organizations out there that that are centered in dance on exchange of knowledge. There's the DSOA, there's More Than Just Great Dancing, there's Gold's Dance Life, there's Toronto Dance Teacher Expo, Calgary Dance Teacher Expo, there's the Dance Educators of America, DMA. Like, there's so much wonderful stuff out there, but it's hard to find sometimes. I find it's a very fragmented industry, so I think one of the near failures I can, really tell you was just kind of positioning people that are my colleagues as my competitors, and being scared to approach them, and when I finally did, they're just real people that care about their legacy, their business. This will be my legacy that I want to leave behind for dance, and I'm determined to make it happen.
Awesome. I think that's also very applicable to just dancers in general, like, because there's like the dancers who, like they'll like walk into a convention and they see like that really good dancer and they're scared to talk to that really good dancer, but that like dancer is like everyone's just on like an equal playing field at the end of the day. So I think that's very important to understand. Yeah.
And to go back to Jerome Bob, like, he kicked it all off in Canada. I give him so much credit because he is the first one that said, Jamie, I can't do this alone. He was like, I can't, if I'm the only one mandating verification, to protect these dancers and give them the overdue assurances, it's going to hurt my business, So I was like, well, Jerome, if you believe in it, give me that, yes, Jamie, I want to. I will take that and I will bring that to my other event partners that are on the fence. And then it was a snowball, Prisha. Like, I have over 65 events in Canada making verification a requirement this season. That didn't happen overnight. That is after 2 years of conversations, of development, of research, of software, of alignment, of, quality assurance tests, you name it. Like, we're ready to go now. And I think we've done everything transparently and really holistically, to invite everyone to the table.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as we're closing out this episode, just like some takeaways for dancers, what is at least one thing that they can do this week to protect their privacy or the professionalism online, even if it's not through ICDR and like all that?
That's a great question. I would encourage everyone to make sure they're using multiple factor authentication on all social media channels. You should have at least 2, authenticated ways of proving who you are, and then we can hopefully eliminate a little bit more thievery online of social accounts. And I would encourage everyone to go to competitivedancer.com right now, and you can vote for change. You can subscribe to, whether you're a graduated dancer, your vote counts as well. Studio director, dancer. Prisha, as well as I do, dancers are not often vocal, right? And maybe it's because we use our bodies to communicate. Maybe it's because of shows that have perpetuated the idea that if you step out of line, you will be reprimanded in a bad way. Regardless, this is their chance to vote for change, because I need to take those numbers to the big decision makers and say dancers and their parents are ready, right? Like, everyone's so scared that, a small subscription fee is going to, turn everyone away from dance. It's not a nice to have, this ID number. It's a must have, in my opinion, because it protects them. We're modernizing our sport, and that verified record is going to mean so much to a dancer, not to mention all the accident insurance that reduces the liability of studios, of competitions. Like, we've thought about this at every angle. And I want to remind everyone that I have had the insider look at sport via my sister. My sister, I imagine a lot of these listeners are American. My sister is the president and CEO of the Canada Games Council, which is a massive national sport organization that requires their competitors to be protected, verified. Even the coaches have to do certain certifications. So I really use that as my research line, for what's happening in sport and how to bring that, and not all of it, into dance, because if I brought all of it, it wouldn't work, right? Dance is very unique, and it is, we do deserve a custom built registry, because we will never agree on a governing body. I don't think we possibly could ever vote and agree on a governing body to represent our industry. I'm curious, Prisha, what about, do you think we could ever, elect a governing body to make decisions for the industry?
I think that's like honestly a near impossible goal like that. I just don't think that's realistic because like I've been talking to a lot of like other like founders and creatives like recently, like Jason Pickett, Michelle Legans, and how just like I don't know if like saturated is the right word, but like if we're talking about like dance as a business or like an industry, right? Like there's just so many little parts of it. So it's like how could you even define like a body or like group of people like to be like governed or leaded, right? Because you have like backup dancing is the more like traditional path, but you also have like casting agents, like Broadway, dance wear, like dance photography. Like there's just so many little things like dance is not what it was like 20 years ago or like 10 years ago. Like it just changes every like year, every decade. So it's just like, it's like honestly just like as ever changing as like you would say that like the tech industry is,
No, you're spot on. And my dance teachers, like their generation, they were used to having birth certificates backstage at the ready, right? Like they were ready to prove their ages. Let's get a little bit more back to real competition. The stakes are high, and that is another hurdle that really grinds my gears, Prisha, when an event decides how high the stakes are for a dancer. It really makes me upset because they don't get to decide, how valuable that competition or that award or, assurances is for that dancer. It's their journey. What they know is what's in front of them, right? And even if they're in 2 routines or if they're in 12 routines, they still deserve assurances that the system they're relying on is verified, secure, safe, and validated,
Yeah, I think that's definitely something very important to consider. And yeah, I think that's a great way to end off this episode. I think dancers definitely have a lot to think about after listening to this. And obviously, go vote on competitivedancer.com. I will include a link and QR code to all of that. And yeah.
And if there are more dancers that want to get further involved, I need ambassadors. I need voices of this change. Alex Wong is an ambassador. Everyone knows Alex Wong. Tara Jean Popowich is one of our ambassadors. She won So You Think You Dance Canada. I'm assembling those people because every voice counts, every vote counts, and competitivedancer.com is how you can really be heard right now. And then competitivedancer.com later in maybe the end of January, February, you will be able to self-verify. So you can go online and self-verify, parent approved, guardian supported, studio director approved as well. So you can get your safeguard ID, but you can't do anything with it until the studio director agrees. Right? So that's part of our ethos, right? We definitely want to respect the studio dynamics, but we also are really concerned that parents need more safety lines to their media, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So, yeah, dancers, if you want change, if you want that big like resume builder, like all you have to do is go vote at competitivedancer.com.
That's it.
Hey guys, it's me. I'm back. So in case you haven't caught on, pretty much Jamie and the whole team at ICDR are on a mission to make competitive dance a better experience for you guys. So if you want to help contribute to that and you want to share your thoughts or any problems that you might be facing at comps that you want them to take into consideration, all you need to do is head to competitivedancer.com, check out the forums there, and then you can provide your input and directly be part of the future of competitive dance. And also, if you do that, you will get a very slick Future of Competitive Dance Ally badge from the team at DanceVibes and ICDR, and only if you share within the 48 hours that parts 1 and 2 of this episode are coming out. So make sure you get on all of that.